All right, I'm gonna try to clean this head up a little bit, get some of this rough paint off and the rust and stuff. So I'll start out by sanding off these flat pads on the back. So I'm in there cleaning up the valves on my wire wheel, and this is the deposits. I noticed yesterday that this GoPro doesn't take very good video in the shade, so I'll try it this way. There, you might be able to see it. Look at the deposits on that thing. So I'm cleaning all these up and on the wire wheel, and then I'll go back with some really fine Scotch-Brite and just kind of touch up the stems a little bit, and they'll be ready to pretty much reinstall, I guess. All right, I'm going to get started lapping valves here. So I got a lid off the carburetor cleaner can, and I poured a little just regular motor oil in here. I'm going to put just a little bit of that on the valve stem itself so it has a little lubrication. And then I've got some fine Loctite brand lapping compound. I'm not going to go to coarse because it really doesn't need it. They don't actually look too bad. Like, the exhaust is really chrome looking. The intake doesn't look superb, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and lap them in. This is how I do it. I don't have a suction cup. I used to, and all it did was pretty much blister my hands, so I don't use that thing anymore. Just a little bit of motor oil on there. Right, now a bit of that lapping compound here. Doesn't really take a whole bunch, but these will get a really good washing again after the valves are lapped, and I'll have to wash the valves again. I mean, it takes forever to do an at-home valve job with not the proper equipment, I guess, chemicals and tools and all that stuff. Okay. Now I use a drill on these forward and backward a little bit. I don't do it on super high speed, and I don't do it for very long, especially if the valves look like they were sealing pretty good to begin with. But anyway, you need to be careful if you're going to try this, because it's really not the right way to do it at all, because some chucks of some drills can put marks on them valves, and then when you go to pull it out, it'll have that, marks on it, and it could gall up your valve guide a little bit. So you don't have to put it on there super tight. All right, so this exhaust valve here, I'm not happy with it. When I'm using the drill on it, it feels like it's wobbling just a little bit. The others didn't do that, so it makes me think it's got a little bend in it. Not only that, on the seat right here, I've got a funky area right here that's just not really grinding too good. So it's a different color. I don't know, it's like a 1/4 inch long or 3/8 long. The valve looks like it's, cleaning up pretty decent. So I've got another center bolt head in there off a 305 that my friend Jason brought me, and I removed 2 valves out of it, and these things are worn. They have grooves worn around them. They got so many miles on them. So either one of these I don't want to use. So I think I may try to get a brand new valve and lap it in on that one. So I think that's going to be the best thing to do, because I don't like that spot right there. The truck smoked when you started it. So it could be, that exhaust valve's there. All right, so I have a second set of 305 heads here, extras. These actually came on that 87 SS Monte Carlo Aero Coupe engine that I got from my friend Jason. These heads actually don't look too bad for dirty wise, but he had brought me, when he came over to help me measure for the cam button in the 406, he brought me a set of 350 center bolt heads and a set of 305 center bolt heads, and they're pretty crusty. But anyway, I had these, and I decided, instead of ordering a valve and waiting on it and having to borrow a car to go get it, that I would just go ahead and borrow a valve out of this head, and then if I ever go to use these heads, I'll just buy a new valve then. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and lap this valve in. Now I am going to go ahead and use coarse compound on here, just to, pretty much make sure I get that mark out of that head that I don't like. I hope it comes out. It should with coarse. Coarse is some pretty rough stuff. Put a little motor oil on the valve stem there. Make sure I don't have a lot of side to side. Okay, that's pretty tight. I can live with that. You guys been following the situation with Lake Mead? It is drying up pretty quickly, I guess, because of the drought over there. But I did a lot of research a few days ago on it. There's lots of videos on YouTube right now of people walking around. There's lots of boats and stuff that's been underwater is now on the surface. And of course they found a couple of bodies and stuff. One of them they found inside an old 55-gallon drum with clothes on it from the person had clothes on from the 70s to early 80s. I don't think they've identified the person yet, but the drum was half rotted away, and it was in a part of the lake that I think was about 100 feet at one time. So anyway, the thing I've been interested about is there is a B-29 Super Fortress bomber in Lake Mead that crash landed there in 1940 something, 46 I think, I don't remember. But anyway, I was curious as if that plane has broke the surface yet, and I can't find anything on it, so I'm assuming it's still underwater. But I've always been interested in shipwrecks and plane wrecks and stuff like that and underwater stuff. The valve looks good. That spot is still on that valve seat. Looks like it got a little bit of it though, so I'm gonna do it some more. So if you're watching me put my finger up to that while it's spinning, I stick my finger up there and try to work it that way when it's spinning, and it works that compound back up onto the seat, the face of the valve where the seat is going to be. So it just kind of, because when you first put it up there and start working it, it tries to push it out. So then you get your finger back up there and run on the edge of that valve with it spinning, and it pushes it back down on that part so it'll get to it. Wow, that valve looks way better now. It didn't look bad before, now it looks really, really good. Yeah. See what it looks like here. Oh man, I almost got it. I'm gonna have to do it again. Golly. It's not that difficult to do this at home, and again, you know, it's not the correct way to do it. It's just, I've said it before, you know, poor people have poor ways, you know what I mean? So I've had to learn how to do a lot of stuff on my own, because never really have had a ton of money that I could spend on this stuff. So if you paid somebody else to do the job for you, you're going to spend way more. So that's why I graduated from the School of Hard Knocks. I got a degree in everything. I was very fortunate to grow up where I did in a small town, but there was lots of guys, man, that was into hot rods and street rods and old cars and race cars. And so I picked up a little bit from everybody. That thing ought to be pretty good now. Of course, now I'll have to go to fine, but that valve looks fantastic now. I mean, it didn't look too bad long ago either, but you got to get this mark out of his head. This one valve, exhaust valve, could have been the reason I had a smoking while, you know, starting it. I got it. All right, it is out of there, man. Awesome. Took a little bit more than I thought, but I got it fixed. Oh yeah, that thing's beautiful, man. All right, now I'm gonna switch to fine. dude over. I am very happy with that, man. It's a lot of work. I mean, lots of time consuming work. It's not hard work, it's just time consuming, but I didn't have to spend, you know, hundreds of bucks at the machine shop having my heads redone. But with this engine being, you know, kind of fresh-ish, we'll say, that kind of worked out in my favor. You can hear it when you put that stuff on there fresh. You can hear it, just that gritty sound, and then it mellows out. But show you that face of the valve there. It's pretty uniform all the way around. Hold this up there for on the camera. If you can see the one where I've got the arrows, you can see the seat there, that uniform all the way around, nice and clean. Lots of specs on the intake valves, but I'm not going to worry about them too much. All right, this valve is, or head, now it's time to clean it back up again, degrease it, and blow it out real good. And then I need to wash all the valves and all the stuff, you know, and it'll be ready to reassemble. Awesome. Very, very time consuming. But I did it myself. So if I start it up and rev it up and it drops a valve down in the cylinder, nobody's fault but mine. I think Led Zeppelin sang a song about that, didn't they? Robert Plant, anyway. All right, so I washed the head really good and blew it off, and I wasn't happy with, there was 2 more exhaust valves that still had some chrome look to them on the seat. So there were the intake valves, you know, had a lot of speckles. So I just went ahead and did coarse compound and redid them all again, except the one that I replaced and did again, because I did it coarse then fine. But I did the others in coarse and then took them out, cleaned everything up, washed everything, put it back together and did fine, and then wiped it all down again, washed it, and now it's ready to be reassembled, and I'm very happy. You know, I got some really nice, whatever you want to call it. The gray look is uniform, basically, all the way around. It's not hit and miss. They turned out really, really nice. So now this head's ready to reassemble, but I did go ahead and go back and redo them with coarse. So when I do the other head, I'm going to start with coarse, and which I usually do, but I figured as good a shape as they looked, other than that one, that fine would do it. It just didn't do it. I got the valve seals all installed, the new ones here. It came in the engine overhaul gasket kit, or rebuild gasket set. So these blue ones are intake valves, seals, and in the package, I know a lot of you guys already know this, but some of you may not, has this little plastic tube that you slide over the valve tip there, and then you get the valve seal on that, and it basically gets it past the 2 notches in the valve so it doesn't, you know, tear it up or mess it up. And then once I got it down there pretty close, I used the socket on there like that, and then used my dead blow and just lightly tapped it on there. So, but they all got the little small black rubber ones, you know, they go on every one of them, and then these are your exhaust valve seals here. So exhaust valve gets the plastic style, and the thick rubber ones go on your intake manifold ones. All right, this head is assembled and done. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one in a bag, like a trash bag, and set it in the garage. This one is completely finished and ready to bolt on. That is pretty awesome. Progress, man.